Everyone, I am from the TCS Assurance Services unit, and let me give you a brief overview of what Assurance Services is about. It is important in today's world that a quality of a software determines a lot of things into our lives, into the impact, the way in which we live, the way in which we progress. I'll give you an example as to how Honda, which is a Japanese company, had to actually recall cars from the market to the warehouses because they had defective airbags and they had not tested it the right way. So they had to actually recall these airbags with the cars, and thus it gave them a lot of financial impact, and it also brought down their brand power in the market. And another instance where HSBC Bank this year 2016, they had an issue where I as a customer log into the website, it says that the website is down and I will have to wait for a couple of days till it is restored. HSBC kept assuring its own users that their passwords were not compromised, their property, their wealth, their money was all safe, but still they were not able to get the system up and running. And they said that there was somebody who was hacking into their system, and they said action has been taken against those people, but still the people who were actually using the websites could not log on, and that caused them major issues because it also coincided with tax payment date, and people were not able to log in during that time, and they had to pay an additional fee, and people were trying to sue HSBC for it. It again caused them a lot of branding issues as well. A similar issue where sensors in our aircraft didn't work well, and it couldn't actually say difference between single and multiple targets. And there was also another incident in the US where more than 3,000 prisoners were released ahead of time than their own scheduled release date. Thus, it's important to have assurance aspects fit into whatever we do, because the impact can actually become huge, that we cannot talk in terms of financial benefits alone. It can actually impact bringing down a company on itself. At the same time, if I have to look at what are all the technology that is impacting such things, what are all the technology behind all these things and what is trending in the industry. One is digital. All of us have mobile gadgets, and mobile phones are more than toothbrushes in India. And all of us are getting into the usage of cloud. Each of us have mobile phones where our data is stored in cloud. We all know what cloud is. And we are hearing about artificial intelligence, which is again sweeping the floor, and it requires a lot of skills in terms of mathematical knowledge as well, and not just engineering knowledge. And we are talking about extreme automation, where automation is being pushed to the end and where people are asked to drive beyond. And there is also Internet of Things, which actually encompasses a lot of things around us in terms of using sensors and creating chain of events within our lives. And the process is involved around building all these. It is important to note that with all the technology complexes, you cannot actually wait for one system to finish and then move on to the other system and then to move on to the other system. It requires a lot of agility and a sense of urgency and velocity involved. And there's also a concept called DevOps that's emerging, where your development and operations are actually integrating, and you no longer have time to wait between these two phases. And assurance actually becomes a kind of bridge between these two systems. And if I can talk about how assurance now looks at the digital ecosystem, and where all do we touch, what all as assurance experts, where all do we touch the systems. We call what are called as the systems of engagement. These are all the channels through which you engage with the end user. For example, I log into my bank with a mobile app. I log into my WhatsApp to talk to my friends. I log into my Twitter account to see what my favorite celebrity is doing. So there are so many ways in which a user talks to another person. So those are called as systems of engagement. And all this data gets stored into databases, and we call them as a system of records. And these two are connected by what is called as system of integration, usually a middleware or a SOA architecture. An extension of SOA is now into the web-enabled applications called as OVA, which is the web-enabled SOA version. And using all this data, you can actually build business intelligence and analytics around it, the reporting around it, and show it on screens. For example, when I use my phone to check my office, TCS mail, I have a little window that comes below there showing me what I last browsed in Amazon.com, and it says your product is now available. And that is because what I do is being tracked, and that data is being used and analyzed and used for marketing again. And all this happens with a system of operations as well. So what are all the types of testing one will have to do? If you look at it, it's a huge list, and the list goes on. It's only a summarized view of all the testing that you will have to do. And each of this will have to be done alone, and then each of this will have to be also combined into a string of test cases and test events, so that the entire cycle is tested. And if I look at why we focus on assurance, though I was talking about testing, is because testing is considered post-mortem, because you've actually created a product, you have a requirement, you designed something, you built a product, and then you have testing. But then assurance is about the entire gamut of it. It is not enough to just go in the end of the cycle and find faults, because that is not going to help anyone except for fixing those defects. But what is it that I can do to prevent defects? For example, if you take a medicinal area, it is not enough for doctors to just look at what tests, like blood tests or any other tests, and tell a patient that you have this disease or not. That's not enough. The medical line is moving towards how do you prevent defects from happening. So have tests ahead of time in terms of your medical checkups, ahead of bringing in polio drops and things like that, something that assures that you and your family is safe. So similarly, an assurance format talks about the entire stream, where you talk from the requirements till the implementation. What are all the touch points? What are all the phases in testing that you would do to ensure the right part is released? Thus, assurance gives you a great schema of opportunities. And once you start an engagement, once you come out of college, there is a whole huge world out there, complex technologies and systems, and that requires niche skills in order to assure that these systems work in unison, in collaboration with each other. And that requires assurance skills. Thank you so much.